Evening. It's 8 o'clock. It's Friday. It's sometime in March, and I believe it's 2020 something. So I hope that clears all that up. It's been a confusing week for you if you're American and if you want to speak to someone in the UK, because a lot of America did their daylight savings thing this week, which means that they have been. I was supposed to have a call with someone yesterday, and he was sat there patiently waiting an hour before I actually even wandered into the room because he thought it was time. And the little bird tells me that Robin Sarti was here an hour ago waiting for this live stream as well. But you see, look at that. The Aussies can get it right. Morning, Fleur. Nice to see you here. So no excuse for the Americans, really. It's just an hour. You know, you just got to do your calculations. And I speak as a man who put a massive mistake in a book on a phone call between America and the UK. I shall say no more about that, but it happened. Hello, Sam, and hello, Doug. It's good to see you, and I hope you're well too. Yeah, we're all okay here. My brother's in the house. Literally, he's in the house. He can't go out of the house. It's a pandemic. And here's Trish as well. Hi, Trish. And hello to everyone who watches this in the future. There are a few of you, so nice to see you. You've never report back about flying cars, which is a bit of a disappointment, but there you go. So tonight, yes, I actually have a guest tonight, but before I get to him, I thought just give you a quick rundown on how things are going in Bedlam Boy land. Books 7 to 9 are done, which I've mentioned on this podcast before. Podcast, live stream, I'm getting ideas above my station. So I'm 62,000 words into books 4 to 6, which is great because that's I'm now into the final book in terms of word count anyway. I'll see how it all pans out when I get there. But the end is in sight. I didn't actually kill anyone this morning, which is a bit of a rarity. I just set it up for someone to die. So, I do worry about my internet history sometimes. I was looking up submachine guns and the settings on the safety thing. And I watched a couple of videos on people using them, which actually made me feel a bit sick. But there you go. You have to try and get this stuff right. Abs. On time. You are actually on time. Yes. Nice to see you. Abs. So the book's going along quite nicely. I have some new ideas for future projects as well. I did have a chat to my agent yesterday, and I at the end of it, I said, I've got this sort of high concept psychological thriller idea that I want to run by you just to see if it's as fun as I think it might be. And I just gave him sort of a 40-second pitch, and he very much would like me to write it. So we'll see. Oh, okay. So Fleur's read Clockwork Sherlock and loved it. Excellent. Thank you, Fleur. Yeah, the tech was a lot of fun. I've actually had the idea for the whole transport network in Clockwork Sherlock with the driverless cars and how they work. I've had in a notebook for a long time and wanted to use that. Some of the other things evolved as the first draft was written, but yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. I wanted it to be set maybe a generation away, no more than that, just really, really close to our own time, and just think about how the technology might evolve. Probably won't, but yeah, I enjoyed doing it. Robin's here. Hello, Robin. Okay, you've got bookcases. Yeah. Well, there you can spend hours digging through books. The problem is you get distracted. You start putting things on bookshelves and think, oh, actually, I should probably try reading that one again. And then you open to where the book falls open and you start reading and you're lost, and that's it. And then someone comes in the room 6 hours later and says, I thought you were putting these up. No, I understand. Yes, and the anthology. I didn't mention the anthology, which came out. That's terrible, isn't it? That's my pants marketing. Came out on Monday. This Monday, it's called make them pay. It's available on Amazon. I will be emailing everybody about it because there are so many authors in that anthology where we don't want to be emailing everyone on the same day. So I think I'm doing it in about 5 days' time. So you will get an email from me. But there's 22 authors, and you will get, you'll get the email about it. And it's already got a few reviews. I think 3 in the States and 1 in the UK. I assume what people are doing at the moment, readers are buying it and then reading the story by the author they know. But do read the others. There's some great stories in it. I haven't read all of them yet, but I've read a couple and they were great. And there you go. Trish is also reading it. And Doug enjoyed it. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed the actual. I won't say anything about it. Obviously, I don't want to put any spoilers in. But the actual final twist in that one didn't occur to me. It wasn't going to happen until I was actually writing that section, and it's just of course, which was a lot of fun. Hello, Sage. It is Friday, and Charles Dickens' Old Curiosity Shop, 1872. Lovely. I've got a brilliant edition of. I'll have to show you sometime when we get around to Christmas again. I'll show you my. Maybe I already did it. I can't remember. It's such a long time ago. My Christmas Carol one from Ravenscroft Bookbinders in Aurora, New York. It's an absolutely gorgeous copy. Okay. And here's someone with some self-discipline. Trish is reading the anthology in order, so hasn't got to my story yet. Good for you. Well, let's know which ones you like, Trish. Right. Okay. Let's have a chat to Phil. So Phil, of course, was on before. Can't remember when it was. I mean, the week's blurring, the month's blurring. Oh, God, here comes the dog. The dog already. Hang on, dog. We can't have you and Phil. Oh, maybe we can. I'll tell you what. Let's do it all at once. We'll bring Phil in, and Phil can enjoy the whole dog moment. And just wait there. Not you, Phil. The dog. You just wait there a minute. I'll just wait. Okay. So I know I share a lot of readers with Phil, who writes these terrific epic fantasies and some science fiction, and we'll be talking about that very shortly, and is just a new father for the second time very recently. So let's bring on the sherry drinker, Mr. Phil C Quaintrell. Here he is. Nice to see you. I'm drinking this.
What's that?
This is Hazy Jane. Am I tilting that the right way? There you go.
Nice.
Brewdog Hazy Jane. It's actually a really nice beer, and you're drinking cooking sherry, I believe.
I have no idea. I just reached into the cupboard, and this is what came out.
That old excuse. Look, the dog's given up. The dog's gone. It's like he came in, he thought it was his moment, his big moment. He leaps up on my lap and has a treat. And he's back again. He's doing that thing. You've got a dog, haven't you?
No. My in-laws have dogs, and I do look after them whenever I can. But I've got one, 2 kids.
When the dog, if you're walking the dog or you've got treats in your pocket, does the dog do that thing where it goes to one side of you and you give it a treat, and then it comes around to the other side and says, "Hello, I'm a completely different dog. Nice to meet you. I would also like a treat."
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Okay, well, sorry to have to do this to you, but I can't resist these lovely puppy eyes. So come on then. Oh. Right, you'll see his gaze is fixed on a certain spot on the desk because he can see. He can see the treats, you see.
Look at that.
There you go. Go on then. That's it. On the mic. Right, as close as you can get, please.
How can I compete with that?
Well, you can't really, but you know. It's great. You could do the sort of surprise thing. And then the aliens appeared. Oh, he didn't do it. Okay. Albie, shit, come on. And then the aliens appeared. Thank you, mate. That's great. Okay, right. Okay. There's 2 more. Sorry about this, Phil. Just perhaps you could talk about the map on the wall behind you. Did we talk about that before? In which case, if we didn't, you absolutely should at least acknowledge it because it's quite a thing of beauty.
Thanks. Yeah, I drew that one. That's the world. That's Verda. That's where my books are set. don't know if you can properly. It's
You get an
brilliant.
impression of it, but not the detail.
Yeah, there's a much better on my website, but that one I drew took me about 10 months. I think I started it. I don't know why. I started it the same month my son was born, years ago, and I don't know why. I just wanted something to do. I guess that was not rocking him to sleep. But it took about 10 months to do, and I love it. Yeah, I often refer to that whenever I'm writing. I just like the excuse to swivel, though.
We all like the excuse to swivel.
Yeah, makes me feel powerful.
Yeah, of course, it's the Bond villain in us. Really.
Yeah, where shall I send them next?
Aha! Across the uncrossable straits.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I've got at the moment the plan is to clear this room, which is full of my crap, basically, and to have an absolute clear out, and get a corner desk, which will go over here, move the piano, which will mean I'll have music against one wall, I have various musical devices, and then I'll have the writing section here. Why do you do this, Albie? You eat your blinking treats, you come back here, and you want to have sex with a cushion. I mean, this is a live stream. Just can you please? I'll just have to lean like this for a minute. So there'll be the writing bit will be on one wall, and then I shall do the swivel, just a 45-degree swivel.
So come up with the theme tune.
But a very different, very different headspace. So this is what I'm hoping, is that I'll know, and maybe I'll put something different on the wall as well. So it'll just be, okay, if I'm sitting this way, okay, this is my musical stuff. And if I'm sitting that way, I'll let you know. I don't know, which is incredibly tedious, isn't it? I don't know why.
I can just write. So it's like a 360-degree of writing in here. There's no other hobbies in here.
Yeah, and I guess ideally that is the way to go. And eventually there needs to be the basement of music, because music takes place in darkened rooms, recording music certainly, and the cabin of writing with the massive view over something, one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I get like a writing shed in my garden, I'll make sure it's elevated so I can see over everything.
Well, we keep talking about, and we will do it one day. We've sort of been joking about it for over a year, meeting up and doing a sort of brainstorming weekend and writing and just throwing ideas around and getting inspired. But there's no point trying to get inspired. I think we came to that conclusion fairly early in Bradford, for instance. Not that I've got anything against Bradford, it's a lovely place, or Croydon, but a French chateau would sort of fit the bill.
But the more we talked about it, the more it really just sounded like we wanted to get away for the weekend and just get pissed.
Well, I think that would be churlish of people to assume that was what our real intentions were, because we are very fragile, creative people.
Yeah, we'd come home with no idea what we were writing.
We'll come back to our better halves, who will say, "So, what ideas did you come up with?" And we'll both go, "Ideas." Just have a look. Oh no, hang on. We're just. I'm just going to go through the comments, because I'm terrible at doing this, and I'll make sure I'm not missing stuff because it scrolls up so fast. You can see these too, right?
No, I can't see comments.
Oh, that's weird, because when Queeve was on, I had Queeve McDonald came on a couple of weeks ago, and made it sound like a proper program, doesn't it? Instead of just a bloke on the end of a.
I've just found them. I just clicked on the word comments, and boom, there they are.
There you go. Right. So Robin has a vested interest in knowing, has anyone read Straight Flight in the anthology? Well, Trish will get there, Robin, and then we shall hear. It's a good story. I'm saying no more. There's lots of stuff about. Look, this is what happens. This is my live stream, right? Can I just remind you, this is about writing.
Has he got his own Instagram yet?
He did have one for a little while, but Instagram kicked him off. I didn't know what to do with Instagram, so I decided to ask Child One to run it for me. And when we were getting it all together, I set up the Dog of E&W Sainsbury as the account, and they just booted him off after a few weeks. So I'm back on now as me, but I'm I haven't got the hang of Instagram at all.
Well,
I'm assuming this is still not me, but the dog.
I was going to say, you should just fill it with the dog. Fill it with like thousands of followers.
Yeah. You know, you should never kill a dog in a book. Have you ever done that?
No, I'm not that brave.
I have.
You?
First book.
You evil bastard.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? I mean, I wanted to establish how bad the person was behind this. But I think that was pretty firmly established. That was before I had a dog as well. I don't know if I'd be able to do it now,
No.
even in fiction.
I've heard that even in like the movie world, if you hand in a script that kills a dog, it's really hard to sell.
I have 2 words for you. John and Wick.
Oh yeah, and I Am Legend.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, John Wick. That's it. That's the moment at which the whole audience goes, you know what? You can kill as many people as you like. Yeah. You can torture them. You can burn them alive. I'm just going to be sitting back going, they deserve it. I
think they probably looked at the death toll at the end and they're like, this is a ridiculous number of dead people. There has to be a really good reason. Oh, they killed a dog. Oh, yeah. That's fine.
So you've killed 307 bad guys, and on this column we've got 1 dog. Yes, seems fair.
Make 3 of them.
And I'm still enjoying them. I know people say they're getting more and more ridiculous, which of course they are, but I'm still enjoying it. Have you heard of Pedro Urvi? Because I haven't. No. I get recommendations, which is brilliant, but of course it's like Queeve recommended someone, so I picked up this book, Don Winslow, and I'm reading it. But it's an absolute. I didn't realize I got it on Kindle, and I you know, where you get to the stage in the book where you think, and now we're going to be coming into the end game. You know, everything's coming to place. And I got there, and I didn't have the thing turned on at the bottom, and I tapped it, and it said 38% through. It's like, what? So if I had it as a paperback, you know, it'd be like that. Yeah. But Pedro Urvi, okay, another one to have a look for.
I don't know a lot of authors. I'm really bad. Like for someone who writes for a living, I don't know a lot of writers. Like I know obviously that the really big names that everyone knows whether they read or not. But outside of that, I don't read a lot anymore. I tend to, I read and then I'm like, no, I just need to write.
You have to make time. I really think it's important. I'm with you. I understand. I had the same thing happen when I thought, and I realized it was happening. I thought, hang on, you know, I used to travel to Norway for the weekend to do music, and I used to take before I had a Kindle, I would pack 5 books. I'd go to 5 or 6. I'd go to charity shops and I'd just fill my hand luggage with books. And by the time I got there on the plane, I'd leave one on the plane, then I'd leave one on the bus because I'd just be getting through them. And I've gone from that, which I see in my kids, the same kind of level. And now, you know, it takes me like maybe a couple of weeks, 3 weeks to finish a book sometimes. And I feel like we should have a slot in the day, Phil, every author, because it's part of your job, really. You should say, right, this is my reading hour. Excuse me. No, it's my reading hour. Could you just change the baby? I think you'll find if you consult the calendar, it says Phil's reading hour.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to fly.
It's worth a try.
Yeah.
But I think you need to do it, and not last thing at night, because we all do the same thing, you know, especially when you've got 2 small kids, you're going to be knackered. So you're going to go, right, okay.
Yeah. I have like 5 or 6 on the go, and I generally, if I can get past sort of like 30%, I'm probably in, and I'll keep going.
Have you got much more discerning in terms of? I know there are still lots of people that I know who won't stop reading a book, even if they're not enjoying. They'll say, "Well, it's not very good," and so I'll say, "Oh, so what you're reading next is what you're reading instead," and they'll say, "Oh no, I'm going to finish it." So, why?
If I don't like it, I don't read it. In the same way that if I'm watching something I don't like, I turn it off.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely with you on that now. It's
since having kids, you know, the most valuable thing is time.
Yeah, Yeah. And for someone who, I don't know if you're good at routines. I mean, you were employed, so you might be, and you're in a proper job and everything, whereas I've been self-employed most of my life. So I've had to impose my own routines. And every so often I think, actually what I should do is I was joking about it just then, but actually say, that's when I'm going to read, that's when I'm going to do this. But my sort of self-employed, do what I like, other half of me goes, no, sod off.
Yeah.
Are you able to go for it? I know it's different now. You have to have routines with your kids, but when it comes to work, do you stick to a routine?
Yeah, typically, I try and make sure that I'm at my desk by sort of 9 to 9:30, and before midday, it's sort of like get 1,000 words done. Don't get up to do anything, just get 1,000 words done or more. And then the most disciplined part is having lunch and just eating and then coming back. Because once you leave, it can be really easy to just be like, oh, I'll have a look at this and I'll do that, and I'll do that. And oh no, it's time to pick up the kids from nursery, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I try and be, I was a nurse for a number of years, so that is definitely a job that lends to routine and self-discipline. I do definitely enjoy the routine that I have, the part of it that I've sort of tried to get in. I think the hardest part, is just staying here and getting the words done and trying to block out the rest of the world. It was easier before the pandemic. Everyone would go out and do their thing. I'd have the house to myself and I'd just sit and work. And, like everyone who works from home now, that space kind of changed a bit.
Yeah, it has been. I read an article in the Guardian this week or last week, and where this writer was saying that she thought, actually, this is a great time for writing because you're kind of forced to, you have to be in the house. You're there where your work is. You got and she said, and it's just been a disaster. But she's also got young kids, and she did mention, trying to write a sex scene at 9 o'clock when the kid's going, I need you to take the top of my bottle. It's pretty tough. So I think, it's affected everyone in different ways. And I'm sure there are writers who've absolutely just doubled their output, but I don't know any of them.
No, I don't. No, it's the you're trying to you're using your imagination sort of constantly all day, and it's raw. You're pulling a book out of your head, and you have to have that space, don't you, to do that. And it's not easy when you yourself can't go out into the world and do all the things that you're used to doing. You don't realize just how living your life keeps your imagination ticking over and things. And then, suddenly you're in lockdown, you're in your house, and you're not going anywhere. Every day is the same. And then you sit down at your computer and you're like, right, what am I writing today? And you just can't imagine it because you're yourself just sort of stuck, static.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And I've tried to watch a real sort of variety of films from different eras as well to try and keep the imagination going. Because it's true, you can go out. As I was saying to Dressing Gown Woman, that's the lovely Mrs. Sainsbury, as she's known on this live stream. Yesterday, I think that it's that not having that input has been really odd, and I look forward to, as much as I love being here, and I love being here much more when I've had the chance to go somewhere else.
Yes.
And then come back here. It's if I've been away for the weekend, or been working in London or something, or whatever, just been away somewhere, and then you come back and you appreciate it all over again. But it's hard to do that when you're stuck. Let's not get too melancholic about it.
I definitely rely more on music now, though. I've always loved listening to soundtracks and music when I write, but now I probably actually start listening to music 20 to 30 minutes before I start writing.
I'm just on that point. There you go. So you still do?
Yeah, I do. I have. I actually have an album on Spotify called Echoes of Fate, which is, those are a number of tracks that have inspired me at some point. But I do listen to those usually before I start writing.
And is that, I don't know how it works on Spotify because I'm on Apple Music, but is that like a public playlist that someone else can?
Yeah. Anyone.
So if you look up Echoes of Fate on Spotify, you'll find it. Oh, great.
Yeah.
And people should do it.
Yeah, it's good. And I add to it regularly as I find new stuff. I'm always looking for new stuff. Every time, there's probably like always a song I can say is that book. Is it Warriors by Imagine Dragons? That for me, that was Age of the King from '6.
I saw them live.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to see them live.
Norwich Radio 1 big weekend in 2015, I think it was. My child number one was slightly embarrassed, I think, when I sang along very loudly, "Make Me a Sandwich" to Radioactive. But I've always thought that was a better lyric. You've got to become the embarrassing dad. I'm sorry, you're not quite there yet, but your kids will idolize you, but there will become a stage where you will become embarrassing dad.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
You need to learn to floss. That's the answer. So you can do it properly. I guarantee that will work. Now, before we'll take a few any questions from the comments in a second, but I did want to just check on mine. Okay, yeah. The main thing I just want to ask you about is how's it going with? I mean, you are finishing a 9-book series.
Yes.
So okay, your work rate has gone down a little bit, understandably, because you now have how old's the youngest?
She's 4 weeks on Monday.
Right, there you go. Congratulations from everybody, I'm sure. Which is brilliant and amazing, but of course it's going to affect your work rate. So what are you looking at, do you think, for the final book?
Yeah, book 9, A Clash of Fates. I made a really good dent into it. I think I've got about 150,000 words done before she was born, and
that's 2 books for me.
I'm thinking there's another 50,000 in it, so maybe I'm looking at potentially a May release date right now.
Right.
As I think don't you, my process, I have proofreaders that are right behind me.
Yeah, which is really interesting. There's no way I could do that, but we write in quite different ways. I think you're much closer to where it's going to be at the very end, whereas I'm quite likely to go back and say, you know what, those 7,000 words aren't working for me.
Oh man, I don't know. When you tell me, I remember when you were on the phone, you're like, "Oh, deleted like 15,000 words." I was like, "No!" That's, I just couldn't do that. I mean, obviously, it makes your book better and it sharpens the story, and that's all part of the editing process. But yeah, you're right. That's just not how I write. I'm always more. I think like this is exactly what I want to be in the story, and this is exactly how I need it to be, which works for my proofreaders because they're just behind me. In fact, they're like 1 chapter behind me at the minute.
Wow.
Which is great because then when I get to the very end of the book, I actually finished writing the book much closer to the release date than you'd imagine. Because then obviously they proofread that last bit and then they go over it again, and then I start proofreading it and then I tinker with it probably right up to the midnight deadline.
Yeah, we're really different in that way, and neither of us are either end of the extremes, because at one end you've got people like I always think of Stephen King, but I imagine he's not much like this anymore, but certainly in his early career he was a big proponent of the vomit draft, where nothing's planned really, got the ideas, you just go whoa, and he wrote fast and he got to the end and basically he found the book on the second draft. So he goes back after 6 weeks of putting it away in a drawer, he takes it out again and he finds the story, which may mean writing 3 more chapters completely differently, chucking a load out, introducing a new character or losing one. But you find the heart of the story in that second draft, and then it's polishing.
Yes.
And then you've got people who just write 1 draft. And you're much closer to that. You're much nearer that end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always curious as to like what authors mean as well when they say that they're writing their second and third draft sort of thing. Like, does that mean that they're going through it the second time or the third time? Or I assume that's what you mean.
Yeah, I think mostly, but some people's second draft would be almost a rewrite.
Right, yeah, I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Whereas, okay, yours is nothing like a rewrite, and mine is also not a rewrite, but it's like you said, about 15,000 words. I will absolutely be ruthless if I need to be, and I will lose stuff, and I will rewrite. Bedlam Boy Book 2, the first episode of that was the dungeon one, and that got a pretty hefty rewrite to make it work. So I will do it, but yeah, I'm a bit envious of the fact that you're just you're going to finish and there's not going to be a lot to do, whereas although I wouldn't swap, because I actually like when I read my first draft and I start changing it, sometimes it's like a different person doing it, so I'll be there going, no no, you've said all this, no, but I'll also go, oh, I like that, that's good.
Yeah, I like it when you go back and you sort of go, oh, well done, that was good, that's a good
yeah
line.
That's always fun, isn't it, when you and sometimes you don't remember the line that sticks out.
Often I don't. Often I'll forget like the little bits that you're right that in the moment are great.
Let's have a quick look in the comments. Well, Trish wants to know what genre your books are, but epic fantasy, certainly. You've got science fiction as well, which you just had rejacketed beautifully. Yes. The Intrinsic series, haven't you? So yeah, beautiful. How are they going next? Those covers are just gorgeous on those.
The paperback arrived today.
Ah, great.
Yeah, these bad boys.
So you got all of them, or just
I've just got the first 3 right now. I'm waiting for the other one to arrive in the post.
Okay, but you know which one my favorite is, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, they're all great, but I love that third one. It's just something about the angle he's chosen.
Yes. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, Tom Edwards was the illustrator. Great.
It's lovely. Yeah, so good. Well, keep us posted on if it makes a difference, because you re-edited them as well, right?
Yes, they've been re-edited, rejacketed, relaunched. Yeah, what didn't it was one of those things, when you start writing, it's like a train, isn't it? You just keep moving forward and you move on to the next book and the next book, and before you know it, you can't go back because you write the next one and the next one. So I made sure that I actually carved out some time over the last few months to get them done properly, and so you've got that whole brand thing as well. You want, because my Echoes books are, the illustration for those is amazing by Chris McGrath, and you just want them all to line up, don't you, and look like they all belong together.
Yeah, I mean, they are spectacular. They're paintings, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm tempted to get some of them properly blown up to put on the wall.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's have a look at into the comments. Oh, we're going back to our French chateau. Now, we think a research trip to the Hebrides and the Orkneys and the Channel Islands doesn't sound as glamorous to us because it's just down the road. But for somebody who lives in Nova Scotia and South Africa, actually, that's really a really glamorous, exotic location. So, yeah, and I'm sure it would be great fun. There's an awful lot of whiskey to try there.
Maybe we shouldn't go there.
No, maybe not. There's a great book by Ian Banks called Raw Spirit, which I think is the only non-fiction book he wrote, which is about him driving around all of the different distilleries in Scotland and trying all the whiskies and trying to find a perfect dram in a variety of cars, because he's a real petrol head as well, on these lovely roads. It's a great book. So maybe we should give that a go after the French Chateau. That'll be the following year.
Yeah. Well, we've got all that time.
Right, let's have a quick look through. I've missed loads of stuff here. So Robin managed to binge a 7-book series in under a week. That's a hell of a thing. That's brilliant. I'd love to do that again. You can only do that if you go on holiday somewhere where you're not expected to go on any trips.
Yeah. What books?
What's the series? Yeah, that's what we want to know. Robin, what's the series? Tell us. And here's the other side.
Yes.
I think we can identify with that one, Sage. Okay, look at this. So Sam has read 82 books since Shielding started in the last year. Doug has read 241 books. Whoa.
It's always so sad as well when I think about how long it takes to write a book and then how quickly someone can consume one.
Yeah, but if it's a book that you absolutely love, even if you read really fast, and I can read that fast, and I certainly used to, and Child 2 is reading that fast at the moment, then you'll read it again. It'll come a couple of years' time, you'll pick it up again and read it again. Yeah. Child 2 said to me today, I picked up a bag, and it's so heavy. I said, "What? How many books have you got in here?" And she said, 4. And I said, "Well, so what's the thinking?" She said, "Well, in form, sometimes I'm reading a book before school starts, and I finish it. I'm quite near the end of a book, and I finish it, and I haven't got another one to start." And she just looks at me with this panic. Actually, I understand. I understand completely. I get that. There's some recognition of Doug's achievement there. Yeah, great. Wow, brilliant. So Trish is claiming 10. Oh, that's interesting. So it's Colour of Magic. So that's the start of the Terry Pratchett Discworld series, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I have read. I haven't read many of those. So that's Rincewind and the luggage that walks around and all that stuff, isn't it? That's interesting. So you then get more into the series and go back and read that first one and enjoy it much more revisiting it.
Yeah. I love it when you read a series and you go back and you see so much more the second time round.
Yeah, if you find a great series, then there's so much more to discover on rereads. It's just finding that great series in the first place. But luckily, there's a 9-book one by Philip C Quaintrell, nearing completion.
There will be a 9-book series. Yes, soon. It was only supposed to be 1 book.
Well, that's how most of us started with these series, isn't it? That's what the World Walker was. So
yeah.
Same thing. Sage is off. In fact, Sage was probably gone ages ago, but we'll say bye anyway. See you, Sage. What else have we got here? I'm scrolling down. Trish is asking which is a good starting book. Well, if it's for Phil stuff, you have to start with Rise of the Ranger. Really? Which is the first one in the 9-book Echoes of Fate saga.
Yeah. That's numero uno. And then Intrinsic is number 1 for the Terran Cycle.
So while I'm looking at the other comments down here, why don't you just fill us in a little bit on the TV and movie interest that you've which is quite exciting.
Yes, that's really amazing. Took me by surprise. The TV film rights have been optioned for the Echoes saga. A really great big production company came on board about 3 weeks ago as well. But the whole industry is very cloak and dagger. I can't really say who they're talking to or what's happened or where it's kind of going. Only that it is, work is being done. People are being spoken to, and hopefully they will sell the rights onto a studio of some kind or a director type person that can make it happen. It's amazing. And we're going for TV. I know that much. TV is just better, isn't it, for book adaptation? So hopefully, I've got a list somewhere of all the actors that I could imagine playing my characters.
Well, there's a Game of Thrones-sized hole in the TV schedules, right? So
don't get me wrong. I'd love for the Echo Saga to replace Game of Thrones. I think it was a better ending.
Oh, and look, it's worth you coming on. Right? A friend of mine has been going on about your books for a while. There you go. So now you've gained a new reader, at least one.
That's good. And I like the people that are talking about the books. That's great.
In fact, 2.
Yeah, the audiobook.
Oh, so the audio. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
George Newbern does the narration.
I'm just going to put that comment up there just for a minute.
You and I are definitely in competition for a number of books out as well. I asked you the other day, didn't I? Like, how many books have you got? I think we're always like that.
Yeah. Well, we've been writing similar sort of length of time. But I've cheated, of course, because
our first release was like within a month.
When was yours? When was the first one?
February 16.
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was about 6 weeks behind you. Five or 6 weeks behind you. That was it. Yeah.
You're definitely, with your Bedlam Boy books, you're about to overtake me. It'll take me years to get.
But the novellas, I mean, that's a chapter in one of your books. But yeah, we'll see what happens with those, because it's possible they might get bundled together in a more traditional sort of novel format. It's all up in the air at the moment. We'll see. Until I get to the end of this current one, I won't know exactly what the plan is.
Well, you need to get those into a TV show. They'd make great TV shows.
I absolutely agree, and the check is in the post. Nevernight. Who's that by? Do you know, Phil? It's like pop quiz here. It sounds like a kind of Neil Gaiman type thing, but it's not Neil Gaiman, is it? Neverwhere's Neil Gaiman.
Well, I don't know that one.
There's so many. That's E. Doc Smith, of course. Lovely typo. Wee Doc Smith, the tiny author. Which I'm not sure. I have read some, but I'd have to go back to my teens. I read so much science fiction in my teens. Did you? What was your big read in your? Was there a genre you really read?
Yeah, science fiction was definitely what really pulled me in. Neil Asher. He's a fantastic British.
Yeah, which you recommended one, which I read. The Grid Linked first one, the Agent Cormac thing. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. When I was younger, like when I was in my early teens, I didn't read much. What got me into it was things like Star Wars and R.A. Salvatore's fantasy stuff. The Legend of Dritz, that kind of thing. I loved all that. But after that, I didn't stop reading.
Have you read the grimdark stuff? It was practically invented for his books. What's the Blade Itself trilogy? Who's that? We talked. Queeve mentioned him as well. I didn't know he was much of a fantasy reader, but he was absolutely blown away by them. Yeah, Joe Abercrombie. Yeah, I mean, you've read some of his stuff.
Yeah, he's very good.
He's fantastic, isn't he? Yeah, really like that. Hang on. So these are this is the books that Robin read in a week. The Andari Chronicles, Candy Davison. Mean anything to you?
I told you I'm really bad at this. I don't.
Me too. But there you go. Several 2 a.m. nights because I had to finish it. I mean,
that's good.
That's absolutely what you look for in a book, though, isn't it? It's ones where you're just putting it, you're carrying it around with you.
If it isn't keeping you up, what's the point?
Yeah, that's great if you can find that in a book.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look. Hey. You converted someone to fantasy from you the gateway drug of sci-fi.
That's job well done as far as I'm concerned. That's great.
Well, I don't feel. I mean, I know some people just won't read. There's certainly sci-fi readers who would never countenance reading fantasy. But I suppose it depends on the type of sci-fi you like. And I was never one for 8 pages about how the light speed drive worked. I'm more about, give me a big idea, and you can get that in fantasy or science fiction.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the route I went down when I first started the Terran cycle. I didn't know a lot of science and engineering and things. I know that I know authors with engineering backgrounds can make fantastic sci-fi books,
and sometimes not.
Yes, and that's the thing. Yeah, sometimes pages on how that works. And for me, I think it was more like those big concepts. If you can read a book or watch a film in which you can see a ship moving faster than light, do I need to explain much more about how that works? Because truth is, whatever I say, you know, even no matter how close to reality is, it isn't going to be true.
No, I think it's, yeah, for me, it's same as you. I think it's the ideas. It's if someone just hits me with an idea that just makes me go, oh, wow, can you imagine if that happened? Or how would I react if I was confronted with this? You know,
yeah.
That's what it's all about. And then that's when the characters have to be fully realized as well, and sort of real enough so that you can engage with them. And you've got a lovely cast.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely expanded on that with the Echo saga. I just kept thinking of new, interesting characters that I didn't realize when I started writing them how integral to the story they were going to be. You know, I think when I started writing the Echo saga and I brought in a lot of these interesting characters, I thought to myself, I can cut them out if they have nothing to do with the story. You know, it was early on, and I remember writing Rise of the Ranger and thinking no one will read this. So I thought, you know, I can just write about Gideon Thorne or, you know, any.
Yeah, you could just mention these names, just drop these names in, because yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought, you know, if they don't work, I'll cut them. But I remember I've read some books where some like really big popular books, and they had these characters in that were just boring. You know, like they're not the main character; it's like a side character or whatever. And I thought to myself, I'll never add in a side character that adds nothing to the main plot, or they themselves aren't exciting and fun.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Because we, as readers, we know when it's happening. We kind of skip or lose a bit of interest. It's like a dip. I always think, yeah, it's a big thing for me. I just think, okay, if we got this secondary character, let's give them something, because that's Dickens for me. Charles Dickens always did that. You have this person who's only in the book for a tiny amount of time. A really good example, actually, in Christmas Carol, when it's a Ghost of Christmas Future, and he takes Scrooge to the point where there's the laundry woman and someone else and the undertaker all trying to sell the bits they've pinched from his house when he died. They're all in this sort of, like a pawnbrokers type thing in the poor end of town, flogging this stuff and laughing about how they, you know, pulled the bed sheets off his bed and took his best clothes off him and dressed him in something. But these characters are just amazing, and you absolutely believe they have lives before and after that scene.
Yes, yeah.
They're not just there to teach Scrooge a lesson. They're real people.
Yeah, yes. But and I remember I went through a phase of sci-fi books, like by like Peter F. Hamilton. Have you seen his books? They're like,
I've read a couple, yeah, and they're big books, yeah.
Very big. And I feel like there was a bit of a thing going on with authors like him, where the characters that were driving it forward were supposed to be your kind of everyday average Joe. You know, you'd be reading about them thinking, you know, how on earth is this guy got anything to do with what I've just read about in this big concept alien idea that he's talking about? And actually, you follow this guy's very average life through 1,000 pages, and then he does something at the end where he presses a button that saves the universe or something. And I was like, I didn't need 1,000 pages of knowing like what he was doing just because he's the guy that turns up and presses a button.
Yeah, I've struggled with I mean, he's not an author I've sort of sought out. There's one of his I did really enjoy. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Whereas with the Ian Banks stuff, it was almost like I was trying to just limit my intake. And there's still one of his books I haven't read, only one, because yeah, he died, and I thought, when I've read that one, I've read everything he's ever going to write, and I still can't bring myself to read it, which is kind of stupid. So I still haven't read it. And so I'll probably die first. But, you know, there you go. That's all right. I can live with that. Okay, well, so here's Nevernight. That's actually quite an interesting concept, isn't it? Because it's never dark.
Oh, yeah, okay.
3 suns in the sky. Every 7 years, there's 2 weeks of true dark. Every 7 years. Oh, so I assume the plot of the book, those 2 weeks would be pretty important.
Yeah, I guess. I can't even think how that planet would work.
No. Well, there you go. My brain can't quite picture the solar system, but it would be, yeah, if you've got a species that needs to sleep in the same way, well, maybe the species would evolve so it rested in a different way.
That's a really interesting idea, and I love that concept. But I think a great amount of research would be required to write that book, to realistically sell the species or whoever live on a planet like that. You have to be able to do enough research to say, okay, well, actually, realistically, this is what a species would look like that never had darkness, you know, that was completely, you know, drowned in UV all day, every day. You know, that, and that's my problem, is I'm crap at research. You know, and that's why I love fantasy, because it's really easy research. You know, you look up a lot of it, and then the more grounded stuff is really easy to find out about, like, you know, like clothes and food and jobs, and, you know, like how far someone can travel in a day on foot versus on a horse, that kind of thing. It's all quite easy to find, whereas I can't imagine trying to figure out what a creature looks like that lives on a planet that only has 2 weeks of darkness every 7 years.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. But then you got the high concept stuff can be really fun to write about. What's the one?
I love reading it. I love it when the author has done the research for me, and I can
Yeah,
read,
yeah.
oh, that's really cool. I love that idea. That's so clever. But me personally, I couldn't. I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's Mark's comment here. This is the book it's called Fearsome Engine, but don't try and look it up spelling it properly, because I think it's FEERSHUM.
Oh,
Fearsome Engine. I can't remember exactly how that's spelled, but and yeah, that's true. There's a really famous sort of post-apocalyptic sci-fi book which is written phonetically, where you just go, and I don't mean Clockwork Orange. It's another one. It's a person's name, and it's gone out of my head. But again, the first few pages you're reading very slowly, because you just, well, Irving Welsh, if you've ever read Trainspotting, or was it Filth? Yeah, Filth, or any of his. It's written in Scottish, in Glaswegian vernacular, and it takes a little while, but then you just get it. And the same with Fearsome Engine, you just get into it. I think that's the one where there's a digital afterlife. So it's like an internet type afterlife where you have a certain amount of lives there as well, and you can still interact with the real world.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's an amazing book. I love his science fiction stuff. Oh, there we go. That's how it's spelled.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. It's a brilliant book. It's really amazing. I love his stuff though. So right, we should really bring this to a close. So I'm just looking at we're going to get into it. We could get into a whole alleyway of phonetics here. So the business character lost teeth. Yeah. And there's the Irving Welsh stuff, and there's Ridley Walker. That's what it's called. The sci-fi one I couldn't think of. Ridley Walker, absolute classic. It's amazing. Love that one. And sometime I must talk about, well, I should reread it. The book of Dave, which is by Will Self, which is his post-apocalyptic novel. Now he kind of divides people a little bit. He's very clever. He knows he's very clever, and he knows the rest of us are a bit stupid. And we are aware that he knows that we're a bit stupid because of his manner. He can't help it. But the Book of Dave is a really funny and surprisingly moving take on the genre, because he's not a sci-fi writer. That's not what he normally does. I think he had something really fresh to say. If you don't read anything else he's ever written, then I'd recommend the Book of Dave. But first of all, you have to read the entire Echoes of Fate saga and the Intrinsic series by Philip C Quaintrell.
Great plug.
Right, and that's definitely where we have to end it. So we'll just do our cheesy waves at the screen, Phil, and then as for the rest of you who've come along, thanks for watching, and see you next week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Oh, by the time I see you next time, I will have had a vaccine. It's Thursday, I think. So if I'm not here next week, allergic reaction or something, yeah, I'll let you know. It should be fine. It's quite exciting, really. So you can stay where you are, Phil, because then we can talk about really important stuff that we're not allowed to talk about on on the live stream. But I'm going to end the broadcast, and we'll see everyone next time. So thanks for coming on. Cheers, Phil, and thanks for coming, everyone.